everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at an incredible dramatic game from the FIDE World Team Blitz Championship Knockout Finals, and it's game 1. We have the controversial and ever ambitious American Grandmaster Niemann playing white for Team Endgame AI, and across the board playing black for Team Dragon Chilling, we have none other than quiet Ding Liren. This was a 3+2 blitz game, and as you can imagine, with the clocks ticking down, absolute chaos is ensured. So let's jump right into the action. So the game starts with e4, e5 and knight to f3, knight to c6. Now bishop to c4, knight to f6, d3 and bishop to e7. Both sides are preparing for castling. We have a standard 2 knights defense, modern bishops opening on the board. Now knight to c3 and black castle on the king side. Now a3, stopping any b4 ideas, and d6, making room for the bishop. Now bishop to e3 and bishop to e6. Both players continue with developing their pieces. Now knight to d5, targeting the e7 bishop. And now queen to d7, making room for the bishop on e7 to escape to a safer square. Now bishop to b3 and bishop to d8. Both players are playing a very standard maneuvering Italian game setups. Ding's bishop to d8 is a typical grandmaster repositioning idea to prepare for c6 and push back white's active knight. Now c4, knight to g4, targeting the e3 bishop. Now Niemann goes for kingside castling. Knight takes e3 and f takes e3. And now knight to e7, preparing for knight to g6 ideas. Now d4 and knight to g6. Now knight to c3, queen to e7, king to h1 and c6. Now queen to d3 and bishop to b6. Rook a to d1, white trying for an open file. Now rook a to d8, black stops white idea of taking d takes e5. And now d5. Hans decides it's time to close the center and gain some space on the queen side. Now bishop to c8. Here we have a first inaccuracy of the game by the world champion. The engine prefers c takes d5 to open the lines, but Ding decides to keep the tension and tucks the bishop away. Now d takes c6 and b takes c6. Now bishop to a4, tagging the pawn on c6. Now queen to c7 and b4 and a6. Bishop to b3 and h6 and knight to g1, white preparing for knight to e2, g3 and f5 ideas. Bishop to e6 and knight g to e2 and queen to a7, putting pressure on the e3 pawn. Now rook to f3 and knight to h4, attacking the rook on f3. Now rook to g3 and f5. A great aggressive strike by Ding Liren. He opens up the f file and goes for white's king. Knight to a4, targeting the bishop on b6. Now f4, attacking the rook. But another slight inaccuracy by Ding. He pushes forward, but this allows white some tactical resources. Now knight takes b6. Hans completely misses the threat and plays a catastrophic blunder. He had to play e takes f4 to stay completely in the game. Instead, he captures the bishop, thinking he is winning material, but he completely forgot about his rook on g3. Now f takes g3 and h takes g3. Now queen to e7. Ding naturally takes the exchange and shifts his queen over to the king side. White's position is completely falling apart. Now g takes h4 and another mistake by Hans. Though the position was already lost, capturing the knight just accelerates the mating net. Now queen to h4 check. Now king to g1 and queen to f2 check and king to h1. Bishop to g4. Ding brings the bishop into the attack. The e2 knight is pinned and the threat of rook to f6 follows, followed by rook to g6 or rook to h6 is completely unstoppable. Now rook to d2, a desperate defense by Hans, but it changes nothing. Queen to h4 check. Now king to g1 and queen to e1 check. Now king goes h2, and now with the white king completely trapped in the corner, rook to f2. An absolute mega blunder by the world champion. Under extreme time pressure, Ding Liren completely blunders his winning advantage. He had a rook to f3, which would have forced mate in just a few moves. Now c5 check. king to h7 and bishop to d1, but the blunders do not stop here. Hence Niemann returns the favor with an even bigger blunder in severe time trouble with just 3 seconds left on his clock. Hence protects the knight with his bishop, but this completely loses. He absolutely had to play rook to d1 to stay in the game and fight for a draw. Now bishop to f3. Ding does not miss it a second time. The g2 pawn is pinned against the king and white's position is completely mathematically lost. Now knight to g3 and rook takes a d2 and queen takes d2 and queen takes d2 and bishop takes f3 and d takes c5 and b takes c5 and queen takes e3. Hans lets the time tick down and realizes there is absolutely no hope left. White has a completely exposed king and is down a massive amount of material. Hans Niemann resigned the game, giving Ding Liren a crucial victory in this high-stakes final match. What an absolute wild ride of a Blitz game. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this crazy endgame drama. If you did, please feel free to share, like and subscribe to the channel as it really helps me out. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about Hans' missed opportunity or Ding's narrow escape. I wish you all a good day and I'll see you in the next video.